Okay, no bugs this episode. Okay? We had the treasure bugs last episode, back in the episode with the living armor, while Laos was trying to figure out what kind of creatures were inhabiting the armor. We had some imaginations of some creepy crawlies then as well. I have had too many spiders in my real life apartment in the past couple of weeks, so just no more bugs, please, okay? Just no, whatever we're encountering this episode, can it not be more bugs? Please, thank you. Let's get into it. Episode 6 of Dungeon Meshi, starting in 3, 2, 1, go. I think I clicked it slightly late this time, but I'm always syncing up the timer to when I actually start it. Like the even though the episode doesn't go in the video that I'm uploading for these watch along reactions, I do still record the show to make sure that my reaction is lined up. And more specifically, it's so that if there's any kind of issue with what I'm watching, like if the show like suddenly buffers or like crashes or something, it's so that I can keep things synced up properly. So like that the timer that I put in the video is properly synced to when I actually start it. So if it seems like I put the timer slightly before or slightly after I say go sometimes, that's why. It's because I am actually making sure that things are synced up properly in the editing. So yeah. Final thing about those bugs as we're going through the OP here, and before we get into the episode, I am a little confused as to how the bugs seemingly killed Kaburu's party. Because, like, when our party came upon them, the bugs had all gone dormant, and they said that there were no physical signs of injury on Kaburu's party. So I'm not really sure. Like, we saw them, like, flying around and, like, trying to pelt them, the coin bugs, but, like, I'm not really sure how death was caused. Anyways, into the episode. We've only had snacks. The bugs and the ice cream. Yeah, as nutritious as you claim they were, I'm sure they're not very filling. I feel like he's spinning himself in circles here. Can somebody reboot Laos? What are those lights that we've seen? We've seen. I feel like we've seen those kind of lights a couple times. Are those like magical fixtures? Is that something Marcial is providing them? Oh, that was fine. The eyes on that painting definitely didn't just move. Great. I'm not eating a rat. What? Boom. Again, those lights. I feel like Marcial's probably producing those. I I don't think pretty neat idea. What? That's huh. possibly the most creative thing we've heard from Laos. Wait, they're actually is Senshi encouraging this? There's no way this goes well. There's no way that this is such a it. Laos, please take a bite of something quickly so that we know if this is all a waste of time. Wow, they sure are living. Huh. Isn't that Loot Player in the opening? He didn't even try. Laos, we didn't learn anything. What a wasted endeavor. I mean, I guess we learned something about the livelihood, I guess, of the people in the living paintings, but but we didn't learn what we came here to learn about the food. They're all so done with this now. Why are they still entertaining this? This seems like such a waste of time and energy. Uh-oh. Someone dancing naked? I was gonna say don't look YouTube, but then I remembered these are watch-along reactions. Wait, it's the same people. Are they gonna recognize him? Ow. What a kind and benevolent king. Oh, wow. Okay, that explains why the king didn't recognize him, because the king was actually the prince, and this is much more in the future. But also that same lute player, and seemed to be the only one who recognized him. Oh no! Hath the prince been poisoned? Oh no, the king's been poisoned. Or he's just dying because he's fucking old. Oh no, he was poisoned! That character, again, I'm he's in the OP. And he even just like he feels different than the rest of the characters in the painting. Did he bring back the food? Yeah, it's fake. That's what I thought. Okay. Oh god. It's gonna taste like oil paint or something. It's not gonna taste like actual food. Surely not. This has all been for nothing. I just know it. Well, yeah. Is he gonna get poisoned too? Don't do it. Just take a bite. Oh? Oh, he can actually eat the food? Oh, okay. I thought it might taste like paint, but it's a real feast. Okay. Now the question though is then when he leaves the painting, Does he stay satiated? I get the feeling they don't appreciate his presence. Hi. Uh, what are you? Oh, jeez. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Huh. I think the better question is, what are they doing there? Even though yep, stomach feels empty. Yep, yep, yep. Waste of our time. Was always going to be. Are we moving on now? Huh. That's probably fine. Those bastards? Is this young Chilchuck? I think he just died. Nom nom nom. Incorrect. I forgot about the trap. Oh my god, explosion. You're you're over there, seem to be fidgeting rather frustratedly. You good? You're still a child. Is he? Yeah, I don't think he's a kid. I'd rather not say. I think it's interesting that he says that, since I feel like he has fairly obvious personal connection to his group. Ah, yeah, just wake someone up so that if you don't come back like quickly, hopefully someone realizes there's a problem. Oh, maybe don't. Why did you just run in there like that? Probably. Uh, nah, she fell back asleep. Seems familiar. I can't wait for it to not be a mimic. Like, don't mimics typically like to look enticing? This thing just looks like a random crate. Doesn't exactly look like a treasure chest, you know? Could still be a mimic, but you know, maybe it's trying to fit its surroundings better, but oh, that's probably fine. Jeez. Uh-oh. Did the problem take care of itself? Oh no, of course it's fine. It's a crab. What the hell? Not helpful. Also not helpful. I can't believe they turned up the animation budget for this scene. Ow! Got him though. Why is it open? Oh, it was just slightly open the entire time. Oh. Wait, you do? Huh? The water? Uh, get fucked. Oh, now you come. Deja vu. You got us dinner! I was gonna say, they're gonna be like, I've never eaten a mimic before! It should be safe. He's sewing up his vest? I won't eat it no matter what. Wouldn't you want? Wouldn't that be like a kind of vengeance? Eating the thing that just chased you down and that you managed to defeat? I don't like how its little antenna are sticking out. Wow, is you good? Yeah, he's just casually sewing up his torn stuff. Huh. How skillful. Oh wow, it brightened right the hell up, didn't it? It's a pain, isn't it? Crack. Yeah, we're yep. Some yeah, it's a pain. You're not using my lock picking tools to fish out the crab meat. No. No. How rude. He's so defeated. He got to enjoy it, but I don't think he's happy about it. What is Marcel doing? Ah, what? Okay. This is why I hate long-lived races. Mr. I was gonna say Laos is younger, isn't he? Why? What? Smaller mimic. Well, we got a. There was some more bug stuff in that episode, but it wasn't. It was just a learning a little bit about the, I guess, the life cycle of coin bugs. um, and then the mimic was a bit of a creepy crawly. Like crustaceans, underwater crustaceans are kind of like they're kind of just underwater bugs. Like crabs, lobsters, those sorts of things. Like they're kind of like they're kind of like ocean like sea roaches. uh, but they're not as bad, I guess. I don't know. Um, I'm not sure how I feel about that episode either. It felt actually I the first half was interesting. I almost completely honestly that something about the mimic section, the second half was like so consuming that I actually like as I was sitting here trying to collect thoughts to talk about the episode, I actually like for probably almost a minute completely forgot about that first half of the episode with the living paintings. Um, maybe because it didn't end up amounting to anything. um, yeah, I don't know. The living painting section was interesting, but I guess in a similar sense to how we met Kabru and his party last episode. Um, but it didn't really feel like it meant much just because until such point where we see them again, and until such point where like they actually interact with Laos's group, it feels kind of just like it feels just like a sort of one-off, and I don't get enough from I don't get enough from their characters and what we see them experience to feel like it's kind of like a worthwhile use of time until again until such time as we see them again. So it doesn't feel as interesting, I suppose. And it's so what I'm getting at is similarly for this living painting thing. Again, the kind of the elf character who Laos said was like, oh, is that a gesture or a jester or a court musician? Like who's this person that I have seen across all three of my all three of the painted scenarios that I've gone into. Um, they're in the opening, so I assume that we're going to see more of them. And if we don't, then it's just kind of it feels unsatisfying to have seen this part of this episode with them because it feels like it didn't go anywhere and it feels like we didn't accomplish anything or learn anything, right? So, yeah, I guess that's kind of how I'm feeling about the first half of both last episode and now this episode. Is just that like there was something kind of interesting about seeing in last episode seeing the perspective of a different adventuring party, and in this episode learning a bit about these living paintings. But overall, it just feels like we started up something and then it didn't go anywhere. So yeah, but again, that will change if and presumably when we get to the point where we see more of Kabru and we see more of this elf character. So yeah, that's that. And for the second half of the episode, I guess I like that. I guess I like the second half of the episode. It was fun. Seeing that Chilchuk has as a lockpick, uh, seems to have a bit of trauma with mimics is I guess a little an interesting little character point to add to him. And then I also seeing him like say that like he tries to keep his personal life and his work life separate is a little interesting just because like again I think that he very obviously shows care for his companions. I think that we have seen like since the beginning of the show, I think that we've seen numerous instances where he's like very clearly showing like demonstrating an emotional bond with Marcel and Laos. So I'm not sure. I don't know. I guess I'm just not sure like what the point I suppose of his stated compartmentalization is because again I don't think it's actually that strong of a compartmentalization. He doesn't It's not that he doesn't seem professional. He does seem to be like very good at what he does. From what little we've seen, like especially in episode 2, we see a lot of him like examining and disarming traps and such. And like in that episode in particular, we see him take like again a lot of pride in what he does. Where he's like, I think he said in that episode, like, there's nothing I hate more than someone who gets in the way of me doing my job. So yeah, I think it's interesting to see him now saying that like he takes his job so seriously that he doesn't want to make friends basically while he's on the job. And so I don't know. I think that's an interesting wall that he's trying to put up, and I don't think that he's done very effectively at doing that from what we've seen so far. So I'll be curious to see if he tries to in later episodes reinforce that wall in some way, like basically trying to be more standoffish from the group for some reason, or if he kind of more willingly admits that he does care for the group and likes being around these people that he's adventuring with, or if he's just gonna kind of maintain this sort of like again this sort of faux standoffishness and this sort of faux compartmentalization. So yeah, I do like that I do like the that what do I want to say? I think that in the first few episodes, the sorts of looks at characterization that we got were oftentimes very overt and direct and gave you like fairly explicit looks into the kinds of people that the characters are. And now I feel like more recently, the show is being a bit more subtle and a bit more implicit with some of the things that it's saying or doing with the characters. So that's interesting, I think. Like even again, I noted it as it was happening, I multiple times. Like the sewing that Chilchuk was doing, I think that that's an interesting thing to show about him. That he is that he's adept at sewing. I don't know. It's just like I think that it makes sense. Like he's a lockpick. You would assume that he's probably good with his hands. He's quite dexterous. Um, but I wouldn't have immediately made the assumption that he can sew. And even if he could sew, even if that was something that was like in some way stated to just kind of like show that happening, I think that's just a good way to like add to your characters. And like I guess even just like a really small note um that I guess I could make in since I'm on the subject, and this is sort of related to that. It's about showing like aspects of character and character growth through animation. In I didn't make mention of it, but I did kind of notice it, and I almost said something about it, but I wasn't sure if I really wanted to. In the last episode, when we get the flashback with Fallon, blessing the party and stuff to keep them safe from the ghosts, I believe that Marcille had shorter hair. She had I think she still had the long braid in the back, but she had like bangs, kind of like this. um, and it was like a cute look. And then when we get back to the present, I'm like, oh, she doesn't have those because like she's got like a bit of a braid on one side and then like a longer swoop on the other side. And so that's just like that's not necessarily showing like character growth, but it shows at least what I believe that it's showing is time that passed. It's showing that time. It's showing that like they were adventuring together for a while with Fallon and the others who left after what happened to Fallon. So yeah, it shows that like they weren't like they did. This wasn't some group that like got thrown together. They were went on one adventure and then this happened because time passed significantly enough for Marcille's hair to grow out to like and like noticeable length. So yeah, there's little things like that I'm really enjoying about this show. So again, I feel like the initial few episodes were a bit more bombastic in a way. They were a bit more in your face with what they were doing, not just in terms of like laying out who the characters were, but also I feel like the comedy was a bit more zany. I definitely think that they were kind of trying to hook the audience with some incredible ridiculousness in the first few episodes, and that's definitely still there. I mean, just look at the things that happened in this episode and like the way that they happened. It's definitely still ridiculous. Definitely still silly, but I feel like it's not quite as out there with it. It's a bit more subdued, which is, relatively speaking. It's not like I'm not saying it's like super mellow in what it's doing, but yeah, I think it's a bit more pulled back, a bit more reeled in than how we started. I don't know. Maybe it's or maybe it's just the case that I've gotten used to some of the like some of what the show is doing with how it's trying to hit you. Maybe that's it too. But nevertheless, I think that's probably good for discussion for this episode. Again, I'm still enjoying the show. I think it's probably my favorite show that I'm watching on the channel at the moment. Um, Although, admittedly, I had to drop My Hero, and I'm only a couple episodes into Oshinoko. So at the moment, the only show that I'm like close to the same that I'm like still keeping pace in episode count with is Frieren, and between those two, I would definitely at the moment say that Dungeon Meshi is my favorite show of the two series. So But yeah, I'm still really enjoying the show, and we will continue to watch it soon. So thank you so much for watching, and remember to like, comment, subscribe. Watch the video. If you're watching this video at this point, then you've already watched it to the end. Good job. Thank you for that. Again, really helps with those metrics. And remember to check out other stuff on the channel if you are so inclined. I just talked about the other shows that I'm currently watching on the channel, so check that stuff out. And until I see you in the next one, take care. Bye-bye.